Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about how to prepare to use the oven, as this is one process or step in being able to learn how to cook more independently, whether you are at home or you're in a dorm room because you've gone off to college. This is a good skill that will serve you well in the present and the future. And so with using an oven, that is more of a challenge than using the microwave or the stove, that may require less steps or is even safer to use than an oven. So I want to talk about ways that you can gradually progress in using the oven in a way that makes you feel comfortable and safe, and also that you're able to use it correctly. I want to challenge you to think about, have you used the oven before, and what might motivate you to use the oven? Are you wanting to be more independent, or are you wanting to be able to cook certain foods that you like on your own? So think of things of why you may want to use the oven and why it is important to you specifically. So if you have paused and thought a little bit about why the oven is important to you to learn how to use, now I want to give you some potential options of how to begin using the oven. And I invite you to think about which step is best for you currently, depending on your comfort level and your perception of using this device. So first, one example, and as I always say, it's good to take it slow and small steps, because this helps you to feel like you can achieve goals as you go. So some of these steps may seem pretty small, or they might be too small for you. So pick what you feel is most comfortable and best for you. So with that being said, one of the first things that you can do when you're learning how to use the oven is just observing the person or observing somebody else using the oven. You could observe or use it alongside them, or you could even watch a video of somebody using the oven. Once you feel like you have an idea of how to use it after watching somebody else, that is when you can dive into more of the steps and actually cooking something. One consideration when using the oven is that ovens can get hot, and you must learn how to properly take the food out of the oven and even putting it in so that you are safe and you don't burn your hand or anything. And so just practicing putting the food into the oven while it is off may be a good start, because that will allow you to practice the technique of safely putting things in and out of the oven. And that way you can feel comfortable and master that first before you are actually put in a situation where you are using the oven and there's more risk because it is turned on. Once you feel comfortable with using the oven itself, putting food in and taking food out, then that may be a next step where you identify what you want to make with the oven. So identifying different recipes you could use. You could find these online, or you could ask a family member or friend. And there's often instructions on packages of food that tell you how to use the oven and what temperature to use it. So part of using the oven, it's not only just putting the food in, but also knowing how to use it by setting the temperature and how long you need to put the food in. And so understanding how to set a timer for your food so you know it's ready is equally as important as actually just using the oven and putting the food in and out. So after you've considered this, why the oven is important to you and what kinds of skills you need to work on specifically, do you just need to start with addressing maybe any concerns or fear of using the oven? Or are you completely ready to jump in and you need to find some recipes and things that you want to make? So as you're wanting to gain independence in this area, be thinking of those things. So now that we've thought about some of these ideas, I'm going to show you an example of how you can practice putting food in and out of the oven. So let's look at an example of how to put the tray in the oven and to practice this without actually turning the oven on. So the purpose of this is to keep the oven off and just get used to using the oven itself, being around that environment, and then learning how to put your oven mitts on the tray safely so that when it comes to actually taking out a tray that is hot from the oven, you already know how to do this and feel more comfortable and safe. So every oven may look a little bit different and the supplies you may have may be different, but for me, if you have some kind of tray like this, then you can use that, and then there's little oven mitts like this that wrap around the tray, and you want to make sure that your hand is only touching the oven mitt and you don't want to be touching the tray at all because the tray is going to be hot. If you are holding it with two hands, the same idea, you want to be holding just the part where the oven mitts are. And so let's see what it would look like putting it into the oven. So let's say if you were actually cooking something, it would be on, the oven would be hot. But if you're just practicing, then it's not hot, obviously right now. So if I'm putting this in, the food, I'm first putting this in, then it hasn't been in the oven yet, it's not going to be hot, the tray. So I don't need oven mitts right now. So I can go ahead and open this up. And then I can put the tray in. And then close it up. If it is easier for you to first open the oven and then take the tray and put it in instead of opening it while you're holding the tray, you could also do that. So now let's say you're practicing and you want to learn how to take the tray out of the oven. So I have both of my oven mitts ready here. I will open the oven, and then sometimes you can pull out the rack that the tray is on, like this. So I'm gonna grab the rack with my oven mitt. And now that the tray is more easily accessible, I'm going to pick it up using the mitts. Like this. So same idea, only touching the mitts and not the tray. And then I'm going to place it somewhere safe, like on the top of the stove, or you may have another oven mitt or some sort of pad on the counter that you could place the tray on. That way you are not potentially messing up your counter space. And so this is a good way to practice. So you could have the oven off and just practice that very thing of bringing the tray or putting it in the oven and then bringing the tray out while using your oven mitts, because this is a good habit. Then once you feel comfortable with this and you feel safe and are able to do that step correctly, then you can move on to actually making something and the oven will be on. When the oven is on, it is the same idea of just taking the tray in and out as you have practiced while the oven is off. So I hope that this video was helpful for you to see visually what it is like to use the oven and a good idea of how to begin practicing this skill.